I think we can begin if it's okay, ma'am, sir.
Sure, we can get started.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Is the recording in progress? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
I think it is.
Yeah, okay. So we'll be beginning. So good evening, everyone, and good evening, sir and ma'am. Welcome to the fourth episode of LexTech, Center for Law, Entrepreneurship, and Innovation. So this is the fourth episode of our talk show series, TechTales from Court to Courtroom, where we bring in the industry experts to provide us insights into the different fields of law and tech. I am Anjali Pandey, a second-year law student of NLUO, and I have with me Naina, my co-host, who is a third-year law student in NLUO. We will be your hosts for today. So here is a brief into what we look forward to learning today. Now, technology and AI are on the path to revolutionize the future of law. With the exponential growth of accessibility to technology around the world, law and technology have a symbiotic future. We live in the age where machine learning algorithms can now identify patterns and predict legal outcomes. Every app, ranging from Zomato, Myntra to legal AI tools like Lex Machina and Ross Intelligence Systems, all are AI powered. In these times, it becomes imperative as law school students to understand the practical applications sorry sorry practical applications and legal implications of AI in the coming years. So today's episode helps us understand the very same aspect and gives us insight into the possible legal challenges one might face when entering the field of AI and law. With that, we welcome you all to season 1 episode 4 of Tech Tales. In a first ever, we have not only one but two amazing guests on today's episode, Mrs. Swagata Banerjee, ma'am, and Mr. Abhishek Arora, sir. Thank you for being with here today, sir and ma'am.
It's a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much. I will just correct you. It's not Mrs., it's Miss.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I said miss. I'm really sorry.
That's perfectly fine. It's a pleasure attending this session with you all and speaking to such young minds. I'm very glad to be a part of this and I'm looking forward.
Same here. I am also very enthusiastic about this talk show, and I appreciate the enthusiasm and the initiative of you guys. I mean, you're very well done. I'm looking forward to a very candid and absolute wonderful talk.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Let me just introduce our guest to the audience. So our first guest is Ms. Swagata Banerjee. So having graduated from National Law University, Odisha from the batch of 2021, she is a legal and corporate development advisor at an innovative IT company that provides 360-degree business solutions with the help of AI and machine learning. In today's episode, ma'am will be providing us with legal insight into AI. And our second guest is Mr. Abhishek Arora. He is currently the founder and the managing director of FastFame Multiverse Private Limited, which is a marketing company that thrives on amplifying a brand's brilliance through disruptive marketing. Sir will be giving us an insight into practical problems and applications of AI. We welcome you both to the show.
Thank you so much.
Without further ado, let's begin the session. If the guests are ready.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we're absolutely ready.
Sure. So our first question to the audience, to the guest is, how has the widespread integration of the AI become apparent in the various domains, such as the mobile applications and tools, and how is that contributing to the present today? So I think our audience is much interested in knowing about that.
Certainly. So I'll pick it up from here. So let's break into this world of AI, artificial intelligence. So for that matter, first of all, we have to understand where it comes from. And it has become the buzzword of the generation, AI, AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, and all that. but do you know where it comes from and where it began? So according to me, I think it has just blasted right now, the AI, but it originates to half a century back, wherein around it started around 1950. So what happened? So is it okay if I start with a little brief introduction about what is AI, and before diving into it, I mean,
Yes, absolutely.
it's gonna be a roller coaster right now on. So what happened was, so after 1947, the IT boomed. Like there was a phase, like there was predictions. Now it is the age of IT, information technology. We'll be communicating with machines and taking the, right after this uh, European Revolution, where everything started with the machinery. And now, with all the technological advancements and computers getting involved, there was this IT boom, like information technology. And in 1950 to 1957, during that period, a work was published by Alan Turing and John McCarthy. So both of them came together and they published a work which mentioned computer machine learning. And after that, a test trial started, and it was called as Turing trials. So after those trials, what happened was, like there was a term which started to be coming in, that was artificial intelligence, but that was very basic, narrowed down term. All right, so then it was back then when this term was coined, artificial intelligence, which we are constantly hearing around us today. And because today is when it is starting helping us, benefiting us in several manners. All right, now AI is tremendously powerful, and there have been talks all around, like where this will go and which world are we heading into. Are we facing any threats from AI? Because recently the Elon Musk statements has caused a ruckus throughout the world, like AI is too dangerous for humans and it is going to eat up the jobs, and the future is very unpredictable. I mean, he is partially correct. And see, we all have our own perspectives. All right, so what I mean to say here is, AI, first of all, is not new. AI has been developing all this time. All right. Secondly, AI is tremendously powerful. All right. First of all, it reduces human effort. The amount of, like, it is a rule of law that whatever is benefiting you, and you are deriving something out of it, you automatically start want trying you want it then. Otherwise, there's of if the thing is of no use to you, then it's okay, then nobody is interested. So what happened was, AI first of all reduces your effort. All right, and the amount of effort you have to put in, it is drastically, I mean, it is very beneficial to you in on those lines. Other than that, explaining, I mean, I'm sure you have all heard of GPT, Chat GPT, and all. So can anyone tell me what is the full form of GPT by any chance? You can give it a try. I mean, at least you all know about it, right? Don't tell me you don't know about ChatGPT and have not tried it till yet. Any responses?
Sir, I think it's chat generative pre-trained transformer as far
Yeah,
as my
absolutely wonderful. Five star to you for that brilliant answer. So
Yes,
basically,
so
these
I
are,
think if I can just
yeah.
pitch in, yes, so all of us have definitely heard of ChatGPT. I think it's making law students' lives very simple.
Yes, actually, I'll definitely come on to that and touch it in detail, this particular topic. And it has been very helpful to us so far, and we have not even started. All right. So first of all, AI reduces effort, that we know. Now, AI has given the machines the power to think and come back to us, which was never anticipated before. Like it was only one dimensional. We are giving directions to machine is bringing out the desired results. That's all. End of the story. Now, what started happening was, machines started talking back to us, and which suddenly surprised us. Oh, what's happening? Machine, how is this possible? Does it have a brain, human brain? I mean, how can a machine or software generate its own answers, and have its own opinions on some topics, even though they are pre-trained to a level, to an extent unimagined, and a lot of effort has been gone there. But still, it surprises us because it is very fresh to our eyes what we see. All right. So basically, explaining about it, we have three things in AI. first of all is narrow AI, or it is also called weak AI, because what the AI we have around us today is the narrow AI. All right. Now, the function of it is that it is very limited. The commands we give it to them, they bring out the results, and there's no hodgepodge. Everything is very clear and well maintained, and it's not a threat to us at this stage because it is a very preliminary stage. All right. The second one is general AI. General AI is a little superior to the narrowed AI because it then starts bringing into its own cognition abilities. All right. It starts thinking, it start having opinion, or it can write the articles from its own. It can generate and it can talk back to you. All right. That is the second one. And the third and most important one, which is deemed to be a threat, is the super AI. Super AI will and is bound to surpass the cognitive abilities of human beings. And that's why it is a challenge to us. And you know what? We have the age of warfare, and everywhere. I mean, there is a raucous around world. Like so many things are happening at the same place. Now today, a technology is being used in the drones, which is using deep neural networks. Now drones are being trained to take off and attack on its own on anticipation of a threat automatically by zero commands. And this is the network, this is the technology, this is the impact of AI. And I'm telling again, we have not even started. So we have come to such an extent in the history of time wherein the things are going to take a turn, and we won't be having the time even to look back. All right. So it is very common, and it is very understood that, for a practical example, it was told that calculators are a threat to mathematics. I mean, calculators will end the jobs for mathematic teachers because uh, it has made the subject so simple and to the point, and you ask it, it gives the answer. And similar thing applies to AI, but it is not 100% correct. This statement is not 100% correct because AI has an ability to think. So it was said that uh, calculators has done to mathematics what AI will do to humans, but this is not correct. All right, because the thing is different. Now AI has the power to talk back and conversate with us. So it is still very uncertain, and we are still in very preliminary stages. And we have to wait to see how it works out, how it turns out to be. Meanwhile, what today we will do is we will try to better understand how far we have come in understanding the domains and the sectors where we are today at this point of time making practical use of AI and how it is benefiting us. That's where we become interested into the subject. All right. And it is a very, very colorful and very pragmatic subject because we are the maximum beneficiaries of this AI. That's why. You may proceed to the second question.
Right, sir. So I think, sir, you have explained it very well about the super AI and the generative AI. So seeing the pace at which the AI is growing today, it is for sure gonna disrupt the markets in the coming times. So what can we expect? What can we expect about the future? How is it gonna look in the presence of AI in the market?
Yes. So basically, now what I will do is that I will touch on some sectors wherein we are already seeing the effects and uses of AI, and what at Fast Fame Multiverse we are doing. So basically, we are a tech-based marketing agency who is striving to bring digitalization into law and several sectors, industrial sectors in India and abroad. All right. And we are using some technologies, some softwares, and some of them are obviously in building, in making. What we are doing practically is, just give me a moment. Yes. So first of all, we are working on some 5 to 6 sectors at this time. All right. First of all is education sector. Second one is food sector. third one is healthcare and legal, fourth one is entertainment, and fifth one is fashion. So what we are doing for education sector is that we are creating QR code generated based AR books, augmented reality, wherein you see what is the conventional method of reading and studying till date since ancient times. Book, you open a book, and these days you have obviously ebooks and laptops. So the thing is that you read it, you understand it in 2D, and that's all. So unless and otherwise you have practicals going on around you. All right, that's one. So what different we have done is using the AI and technology, we have created QR codes and we have applied those to diagrams beside your books. Once you scan the diagram or once you scan the QR code lying there, the whole diagram or model comes into 3D in front of you. And now you can interact with that model, you can understand it in a better way. And for beginners or young school going students, what we are doing is we see if there is a picture of an animal or if there's something which has to be understood, if there's a tree, then that particular diagram or picture comes out of the book and you can see it in three dimensions, and it is called AI Cube. All right, this technology is called AI Cube. That's just the education sector, what we are doing. I'm not even started talking about what the level of technology is available till date. All right, for the food sector, we have the AR menus. Now, if you have seen it, Zomato, Lapinos, if you have heard the name of the food joint called Lapinos, they have started integrating the AR menus on their Zomato app. Now what you can do is before ordering, that is very practical thing, and we are also trying to bring that same technology into other restaurants at a very reasonable cost. Now what they are doing is that for for Zomato, like before ordering a pizza or before you are ordering a pasta, you can look all of it in 3 dimensions, and you can just it will just come on your table before even ordering. So you can have it in virtual reality and you can interact. I mean, you can see it, you can see it from 360 degrees. So it is very lively, it is very different thing which we are facing. I mean, this is tremendous, wonderful, because it is an experience in itself, and it is something. Whenever something different hits the market, it disrupts the market. All right, that is the funda because behind all the business portfolios. After that, we have healthcare and legal. What we are planning to do is that we are generating softwares, and once you put your headsets, your Oculus, the same metaverse is doing to Facebook. I mean, uh, Facebook is integrating the metaverse and they are just taking everything into virtual reality. You can go there, interact with people. And H&M has also started building virtual stores wherein you just put in your headset sitting at your home and you will start roaming in the virtual space of H&M and buy, pick clothes and can move into it. It is altogether a very different reality coming from gaming zones and virtuality. And for healthcare and legal, what we are doing is we are planning to create headsets wherein you will just put on the headset, the device, and you will sit in front of in front of a doctor or lawyer in real time. I mean, you can see and interact with him sitting at anywhere in the world. The place is not a bar, and it is not even virtual. It is not through a camera or anything. You are just sitting live in front of him. So that is something which is going to change the mode of consultations, legalities, and like operations in real time. I mean, surgeries and all. So these things are already taking place in bigger hospitals out of India, in Europe, in Americas. After that, for entertainment industry, we are creating augmented reality videos. You must have seen in New York Times Square, like 3D images and animations are coming out of the screen. That is called the fisheye view, and we are creating those kind of videos, and we are trying to bring that to India because India should not be left behind. And after that, we have for fashion industry the QR code based smart T-shirts. Till date, what all garment shop, but wherever you go, you'll find those same. If only the difference would be that sometimes there would be different design, some different pattern, or some different color. Other than there is no creativity. I mean, it's died in garments industry. So what we are doing is we are bringing technology, we are integrating it with our daily wear, the trolley bags we carry, the wallets, the handicrafts, the shoes we wear, the clothes we wear. We are integrating technology into almost everything into. we are creating QR codes. For example, I'll just give you a very random example. So just imagine you are there on an Independence Day parade in New Delhi, and you are wearing our smart t-shirts. All right. There is a QR code imprinted on it. Someone just scans the code, and the Indian tricolor, our national flags, comes out and starts waving in real time. And you can see, oh man, this structure is moving. So this is something very different and creative. And once I think everybody strives for an identity, and once we gift that identity through technology on their daily wear or daily usage products, that's where we realize the power of technology. And that's a vision we are working on to provide that instant technology everywhere at a cost reasonable. All right. So, because I still feel in India, talking about the legal fraternity, advocates are still jumbled among files and compilations. I mean, there is a stringent need to bring digitalization into this legal domain. All right. Coming on to the role of AI into making our lives smarter, we have assistants these days. For example, you have Google Assistant, Alexa. Now, until now, what they were doing is it was a very straightforward software. There were pre-faded answers. You ask them, they'll reply you. They'll just make it more personalized. They'll add your name onto the preset designed answers, and they will announce your names. They'll remind you. They'll show you music. But now with integration of AI, they are understanding you. Machines are trying to understand your requirements, needs, interpret your demands, and show you the desired results, so that it just to make the experience better for you. Before that, see, we have Alexa and Siri from time immemorial. I mean, there have been years we are interacting with these devices, but now after AI, our experience is yet to change, is and bound to change. That's one. And talking about the healthcare sector, how AI is impacting it. So these days, it is making it more accessible, the medicine. Now, you know that 70% of Indian population still lives in villages, and they do not have access to good medical care. So what AI can do to them is, see, we know that they are using Instagram and everything, they have smartphones. So we have digitalized it enough. We have provided electricity to those villages. But what is yet to be done is expanding the domain of services to them, healthcare services. So now with AI, they can just chat on with some good AI software released by some hospital, and they can interact with it. They can tell them what problems they're facing, and in return, the software will suggest them the preemptive medicines, like for the time being or until you reach the hospital, or if it's too late and you don't have any access to a transportation vehicle and you cannot reach the hospitals. Meanwhile, you can take these medicines. And so basic consultations. All right, until we are dealing with the narrow AI. Once we have the superlative AI, then there is no looking back. All right, then we have
Yes.
robot assisted
So one
surgeries.
second. So I have something to add on to this. So
Okay.
as you said, how AI can assist you and how, so in cases where they falter, like Samriddhi has asked a question, and for the convenience of the audience, I'll read it out.
Mhm.
So in such circumstances, in terms of generative AI, where it
Mhm.
falters, is the
Mhm.
liability ascribed to the developers of the software?
In
So
progress.
it is a very important question. When you know how, like when there is, who do we ascribe liability to? Who do we go to when a wrong is occurred to us? So
Right. So the answer to it is that, see, we in India, or I think even in the first world countries, we do not have such infrastructure. I mean, we don't have such laws which may hold these technologies accountable. Now, when I'll come to the dangers of AI, I think I'll elaborate this in detail over there, because no, I'll not skip the question. I'll answer it right away also. So we do not have any stringent laws for now, and governments, these are still in I mean, in pipeline. With time there will have some amendments. I mean, the new laws pertaining to it, to AI. And see, the government has started taking actions on it, but so far we cannot hold anybody accountable legally. uh, I mean, we can, but I think Swagata will deal with this because she has.
Right. So, as Abhishek mentioned,
Ma'am,
he's very right that,
just
uh,
before you pitch in, if I can just pitch in here.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think just to provide, I think even the viewers a bit of context, I think what somebody's question was aimed at was basically like if we look at the Information Technology Act, right? We have Section 79, where there is a third-party liability of these social media aggregators, where anything that is posted essentially on, say, Twitter or Facebook, the ultimate responsibility would not be that of Facebook; it would be that of the originating person of the
Yes.
post's origination. So, is
And
there
you know
some
what, Nikhil?
parallel to that?
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. So no, what I had to say was that there is always a disclaimer. In fact, when you even when you use Chat GPT, they always redirect to consult and confirm the same information with the authentic sources. So the liability final, see, we cannot hold the platforms accountable so far. We do not have very
Right.
strict
So,
laws pertaining to it.
yes, as Abhishek confirmed that there are always disclaimers. So whenever there are disclaimers, flows from contractual liabilities. When you're operating with a software or any kind of platform or media, you agree to their terms and conditions before signing up for it. So that gives rises to contractual abilities. Now, let's say there is no contractual ability. In the absence of contractual, sorry, I was mentioning ability is liability. In the absence of contractual liability, what are the options? So in those cases, we fall back to the traditional tortious liability, where the focus is put on negligence, let's say gross negligence, willful misconduct, not conforming to the like professional standard of care. These are some of the grounds that are looked into, because what how liability is assigned is on the basis of foreseeability of the event, whether or not the outcome could be predicted, whether or not the harm that has been inflicted upon the user could it be predicted beforehand, or was there a way to prevent it from happening? So these are some of the traditional concepts that we can fall back on. But when it comes to AI, it only adds it makes the problem a little complex, because of lack of transparency. Even though all the guidelines and all the regulations are suggesting that the process should be transparent, but we all understand the nature of how the like it's a black box nature with which the AI works, right? So we're not really aware what is the thinking process that goes on before the decision is made, before an action is taken. So the more the AIs are developed in a transparent manner, it's easier to understand what led to the decision. For example, let's say in automated cars, there at one point the car hit a pedestrian when it was not supposed to. Now, is it a fault of the sensor that did not take in the information, or is it a fault of the developer or the manufacturer, or is it the fault of the user who is using it, maybe by manually operating it? So it has to be understood and gone into the integrate process as to how this like the damage has occurred, how the harm has been inflicted, which but and once we start questioning that, that leads us to the answer of it. So the liability can be attributed to a number of reasons, and that is the main ground which acts as the deciding factor for attributing the liability.
Right. And Samriddhi, these softwares are indicative and assistive in nature. So the only purpose is that they should be assisting. I mean, these are still under the test trials phase, and we do not have to rely on them blindly. So that it comes with the unsaid disclaimer with it, and also sometimes it's mentioned. Anyways, so how AI can we proceed, Nikhil?
Yes, sir, you can
Okay.
proceed.
So as far as the finance and banking sector is concerned, now AI is generating algorithms for them. All right. So what right now at this moment we are trying to interpret the magnitude or the potential of the AI and the future of it. How we are leading on to that, because this is just the start. The future lies ahead of us. All right. Now we are basically concentrating on how it may or it is or it can help us. All right. So our core focus is that. Anyways, coming back to the point, finance and banking sector, AI is generating algorithms for fraud detection. All right. The credit scoring. For example, now AI will go through your will go through your all expenditures, payments, the accounts you have linked with your PAN and Aadhaar data. So AI will automatically scan your like all the payment histories, all the credits, all the outputs, and then they will give you a credit score. And based on that specific credit scores, the companies will allot you credit rating or credit cards or the CIBIL score. And see, that's how it works. All right, so AI has an important role to play in that because of its core competence logarithms. And after that, we have customer service chatbots. And coming on to the e-commerce and entertainment industry, see, these days we have very curated and personalized recommendation and suggestions. In fact, in the ads also, we have that option to turn on that personalized ad option, so that, see, we it is undeniable that we will not face the ads, no matter how many ad blockers we put, or no matter how hard we try to escape those, but still we have to face the ads. So the better option is that we can at least get it personalized, or we're not seeing the unnecessary ads of any random samples. Instead, it is personalized. So that's what. And so YouTube and Netflix knows what kind of content we are consuming, and based on its AI models, it is suggesting us the similar content, so that we are able to relate to the platform, and we stay there. All right. And also, previously, the finance and banking sector. Now, AI is so smart that even though it is a unsaid thing, it's a rule that you do not have to rely on these AI tools as far as trading and share market is concerned. But it is what potential it carries is it can predict. It has the predictive capabilities, like where seeing onto the previous track record, or anticipating the next events down the line in future. It can anticipate like where the market will go, and accordingly you can take a hint or you can take an idea. Obviously you have the intelligence, you will make the final call, but you can take some indications from the AI tools, and which may help you in trading, and make more returns for you. All right, coming on to the autonomous vehicles or the automobile industry. Now, what they are doing is, have you heard about ADAS, which we have in our Indian market now? ADAS level
Yes.
2. So ADAS have 4 to 5 levels, and right now we are onto the ADAS level 2, mostly in mostly budget cars in India. So what is ADAS? ADAS is Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. ADAS. It comes with cameras, radars, and ultrasound waves. And these three work in sync to bring in real-time info and updates for the driver, which assists them. And sometimes it also, like, cars are learning how to self-drive now. It is nothing but artificial intelligence and a next level of it. All right. That is what it is doing to self-driving car industry, autonomous vehicles, or even to the trajectory of rockets. Now it is smart. It learns. The thing of AI is that it learns and it grows. That's why it is called GPTs. All right, getting trained eventually with time and with our own commands. Coming to the education industry. Now, what AI can help us in education is, how it can help us is that it can give us personalized results. It can track our performances, and it can give us analysis base and also personalized feedbacks. And it can tell us, so this part is weak, and you have to focus more on this part, and it can come up with the sticky notes sometimes, and what we have
Um,
for.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think
Yes.
the good side of you explained very well, but there comes a bad side to it as well.
Yes.
There has been an AI anxiety that is going on in the market right now because this new technology, be it super AI, generative AI, is going to replace lots of jobs in the coming times. So, what is
Mhm.
your opinion on that?
No, definitely. We see, I told you we have both pros and cons for the same. And definitely, I never denied that AI is not a potential threat to us. It can be, but how to delve it? I'll discuss it when we are talking about the disadvantages, and what how it is a threat to us, and what is legal anxiety. Right now, I have a like couple of things more to say on the current topic. Then I'll come on the point of AI anxiety. All right. So we have the NLPs, natural language processing programs. So how AI is helping us bring the world closer is, we can now, like AI can translate our sentiments to the public abroad so that we are in sync and we are able to understand them better. So translate our sentiments, content generation, and that's what we can do through natural language processing, which AI is capable of. All right. Then we have agriculture. India's economy is thriving on agriculture, guys. How AI can impact us. See, this talk show can be a, a gift to anyone who is taking ideas out of it. One idea is clicked to you, and you can take it on to another level. All right. So what we can do for agriculture sector through AI is we can determine the crop health. We can analyze the soil quality. We can determine the weather data patterns, like when the rain is predicted and which days to cut the harvest on. So such like. Then we have the cyber security. All right. So for cybersecurity, we have malware detections through AI. It may protect. I also come on to the other side of it, which is the darker side of it, in a while. But let's go as per the timeline. So we have the malware and threat detection programs. Like we can identify the malware and threats through AI and track the activities of criminals on deep web and dark web, which is otherwise very difficult. Manually, if you go there, you'll get lost. है ना? Otherwise, but if you do it through AI and train it how to fetch or to catch those criminals where all the dark underworld activities are going on, such as terrorism and drug dealings and all sort of things, AI will help us find or go after the criminals over there because it learns through the patterns and it goes deep into it after it.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I had.
Yes, sir, I think Anjali will be asking questions regarding the regulatory frameworks, if that is fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. So these questions are for you, and we've framed according to what the current market is, how the current legal frameworks are in place. So, seeing the current legal mechanisms that are in place, and to ensure accountability, as we discussed earlier about accountability and liability of software developers or in AI in general, uh, what gaps do we still have, and what gaps do we still have to overcome? Could you please elaborate on that? And it would be great.
Right. Thank you so much for the question. So, before I discuss the gaps that exist, I will just briefly speak on what are the regulatory framework that's available in the market right now. So, as far as Indian jurisdiction is concerned, there is only the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, the DPDP 2023 Act, which got passed last year, which got adopted last year. So that is the main legislation that we are following. Having said that, it's only one aspect of it. Data protection is only one aspect of entire AI system. And there right now in India, there is no, not in India, like overall, there is no AI specific legislation. However, Union has come up with EU AI Act, which is still at the proposal stage, but it has some significance viewpoints that can be taken it once adopted. So I'll start with the EU AI Act, which is at a proposal state and what it suggests, and then I'll go on to discuss what the DPDP Act is, so that it gives you an idea as to what the current regulation is in place. So the what I believe what EU AI Act has done is very ambitious, and it has taken up an approach which is risk based approach, where it has categorized all the AI systems into four different types of categories. First is the unaccepted form of risk. Anything just to be banned. Second, and it includes AIs that aims to change or impact the human behavior or circumvent the user's free will through social scoring or less subliminal information. These are some of the things that are completely banned from being practiced. Then comes the high. Then comes the second one, which is high risk. Now, high risk AIs are those that are used in infrastructures, in important regulations like say law or healthcare, where the data is being used and it possesses a high risk for the users. So that requires a high level of conformity as well, and it requires that there is a continuous assessment that is being done to keep the this thing in check. So it also, an important element of it is also the human oversight. Anything that comes up with a high level of risk has to be like have a element of human monitoring or human oversight. Then comes the one with limited risk. One example of that would be the chatbots, where it does not need to be, regularly monitored or be kept in check. Then comes the fourth kind, which is the minimal risk. Anything that is excluded from the above three categories will fall under the fourth category, and the compliances and the regulatory requirements for the fourth category is very minimal, and is the one that is very basic compliances. So these are the four categories that EU has differentiated on, like, this on. And why this is important is, like, as Abhishek mentioned at the very beginning of the discussion, that each type of AI system has different types of autonomy. So that needs to be taken into account when the strategy, like, it has to be classified and put into different categories. So this is one thing that I think really makes the parts of it, which is it focuses on security and transparency. Even if you go through the international guidelines that is suggested by the OECD or European Union or the G20, the main cornerstone that is kept in focus are words like transparency, absence of biasness, fairness, security, high quality data, because AI is something that feeds on data. AI is very data hungry, and its entire training is done with data. So what kind of data is being fed into the system plays a very important role. So that is something that has to be kept in mind. These are some of the suggestive guidelines. Since none of this is adopted and is in the form of guidelines, none of this has a binding effect on any of the decisions. However, there is, I think there's a question I'll take later. Yeah. However, okay, one more point that I missed is, what AI does is replicates human behavior and thinks alike. So one of the important aspect of it is the human values and integrity that also has to be fed into the system, so that only the protected class does not get the benefit out of it. There has to be complete non-discrimination when it comes to a decision that is being made through the use of an artificial intelligence. Now, coming to the Indian scenario, we are
Ma'am,
all aware of the
if I can
digital.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, ma'am, while I agree that there should be no discrimination in terms of how AI looks at consumers, but obviously different consumers have different needs, and I mean, in that AI, from a regulatory perspective, uh,
Nikhil, your voice cracked in between. Could you repeat yourself?
hello.
Yes. Yes,
Hello.
Nikhil, you are audible. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ma'am, while I understand that yes, there should be no discrimination in terms of how AI is applied, but obviously different consumers have different needs, and shouldn't that, I mean, would that be a possible regulatory challenge in the coming years?
So that has to be taken into account. The specification of the needs has to definitely be taken into account. But what my point here was, let's say AI is taking a decision for granting of loan, and loan is refused to a particular individual. Now we have to understand why is it that the particular decision was made. Let's say it's deciding something related to employment. Why is it that, what are the factors considered in while taking the decision? Because as of now, we do not know like the behavior of all the AI system is very opaque, and we do not have a complete understanding of what leads to them making the decision. So it should not be that one class gets the benefit out of it and one class does not get protected. So the protection of interest is a part of it, right? So when I'm catering to the different needs of different classes and consumers, I have to also keep in mind the fact that not one class should be, excluded from the benefits that it's being rendered through the artificial intelligence.
Ma'am, I had a follow-up question to this answer.
Yes.
You mentioned that there are certain aspects of transparency and non-discrimination that need to be applied in terms of adoption of AI. But however, you also mentioned the black box major, which is like we can't trace back as to where the liability was actually ascribed to and what actually occurred in the code. So how do both of these coexist together, where we can't trace as to where the fault actually occurred or where the coding went wrong? And but we also have to ensure non-discrimination or transparency in order to cater to a certain population.
Right, that is a very good question, because at this moment, uh, this is the major legal conundrum that the entire industry is facing. But I am of the belief that, it does not just like require a legal solution to it, but it also has to be done along with all the developers and technical persons who are working in it. They have to work towards making the process more transparent and traceable, so that the decision that is coming through an AI traced back to what are the data it's referring to. Because AI in itself, while making the decision, will definitely fall back on a set of data that it is using to make the decision, right? Right now, it's in the nature of black box, but the idea is to make the system working in such a way that it could be traced back, so that we can understand as to what led to the decision. If at all there is a wrong decision, is it just a malfunction, or is there a misinformation that has been fed into the system? So these are some of the things that has to be kept in mind, and this has to be achieved by collaborating with each other. There cannot be one particular legal solution that caters to all the needs and gives leverage to all the technological aspects of it. It is something that has to be done in collaboration with each other.
Yes, ma'am. I hope Samriddhi it's clear, the question.
Yes. So coming back, I'll just briefly say a few points on the Personal Data Protection Act. So it is very similar to the EU GDPR, and it almost took half a decade to be finalized and adopted. And I'm sure by this time you guys are very aware of what the act says, but to brief it out, some of the very important things it suggests is the requirement of an explicit consent. The consent that's being taken from the user has to be explicit. It has to be given by free will, and it has to be unconditional and unambiguous. So these are some of the requirements that are needed. Of course, there are certain exceptions, but the exceptions has been minimized as compared to all the previous bills that were there. Having that said, even if you're taking consent, the next part of it suggests that there has to be purpose limitation and data minimization. Now, what they mean by that is that when you're collecting data, it cannot be for any random cause or just because you want to create a data set for your AI. It has to have some purpose, and you have to very clearly mention it to the user or the data principal from whom you're taking the data, that these are the grounds for what I'm taking it, these are my purposes, and for this much amount of time I will be using the data. And you have to take permission from the user before utilizing that data. So that is one of the very important aspect which lets the data principals use their right over the data that they are operating on. Secondly, about the data principals right with respect to deletion, access, modification, rectification. These are some of the things that gives them the working knowledge as to what are the exact data that's being used. Right. So these are some of the things. Also, one more point which is distinct in the data protection, this DPDP Act as compared to other previous bills is that it has created a data protection board as compared to a data protection authority. Now, data protection authority was an autonomous authority with a lot of independence who could create code of conducts and regulations. This much of freedom is not given to the data protection board. When it comes to data protection board, they are members nominated by the government who follows a particular guideline, who follows a particular code and monitors over the functioning. Their function is restricted to two parts. Once they monitor and assess whether or not there is a risk in using the information that's being circulated for the purpose of AI, and to come up with quick resolution in case something goes wrong or in case a data breach happens. So overall, this, as the preamble has stated, the DPDP Act has rightly balanced out both the need for the requirement of using the data for lawful purposes and the right of the individual over their personal data. So currently, these are some of the regulatory frameworks that can be applied when it comes to AI. And if we fall back on the traditional ways, again, there is consumer protection laws. If at all the user faces any laws, we can always go via the route of traditional mechanism and consumer courts and things like that. So I hope this gives you an understanding as to what the current regulatory landscape is like.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
coming
Thank
to
you
the
so much.
gaps of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Continue.
coming to the gaps of it, as Samriddhi pointed out, that we have not reached a place where a collaboration is done, where the fine line of balance is already made with respect to the, AI and data protection. And data protection is one aspect that is true, but it is not centric towards AI. It does not cater to all the nuanced like understanding and working of AI. So for which I still believe there has a lot of work has to be done in the legal space in the upcoming days for it to be more effective and to strike a more balance towards, because AI is going to stay in the, it's here to stay, it just got started. So it will also come with a evolving legal framework.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think if it's okay with you, we could move on with we could take up a question from the audience. There are
Yeah,
two
sure.
questions. So Divyam asks, there's a growing trend in the EU where AI systems are considered products. Since you mentioned the EU's Draft AI Act, I wish to ask the difference between the Draft EU AI Act and the Product Liability Directive, which is being applied to AIs to ascribe liability.
Right. So whether or not AI is a product or service is yet to be decided by the court, and it can only be decided once there are enough case laws to understand how the court is perceiving is at. As of now, they are considering AI as a product, but there is also ample scope for AI to be used as services. So right now we do not
Yes.
know whether or not AI will be considered as product or services or both. That will only happen once there is enough data in the market to assess. So that is one of the challenges also, right? We do not know what AI is. We are perceiving AI as a product, but once AI gains more autonomy and starts rendering services, it cannot be strictly called a product. It also has to be classified into services. So when that happens, it depends on the decision of the court whether it will perceive it as product or a service, and then accordingly it will have different liabilities. For service it will be something else. For product, we are aware of the product liabilities, right?
Yes, ma'am. Divyam says actually there was a recommendation to amend the directive to include AI as a product. Hence, I asked the question in that context.
Right, makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. So we are still at a stage where we are trying to come up with ways. It's at a recommendation stage, right? We might be of the opinion, some people might be of the opinion that AI is a product, but as and when because as Abhishek mentioned initially, that there are different AI systems that comes with different levels of autonomy, right? So the moment the autonomy increases, it does not fall the strict category of product. So that is when, it has to be decided whether or not it comes as a product or it comes as a service. And when that happens, we can then further go into the liability aspect and see how the liability can be attributed.
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, I also second to what Swagata has recently quoted, and like you just mentioned, and I believe that still AI, like what the softwares we are producing, are still considered as digital products. All right, they are, again, there is a difference between a physical product and how it is treated, and a digital product how it is treated, because again, digital products renders a service. All right, so that is a little context I wanted to add. So our products,
Yes,
our
sir.
digital products are again categorized as a service which is rendered to the clients in the eyes of courts, or if you talk about the legal term.
Yes, sir. Having a follow-up question to that, if AI were to be a service, wouldn't it be coming under outsourcing laws, like under a B2B model? Like, for instance, in India, we have so the Flipkart founder Benny Bansal recently came up with the idea of providing AI as a service. So, if in India we don't have anything very specific to AI Act, how would we entail, like how would the outsourcing laws be applicable, or how AI would be important in this context in general?
You just answered that we don't have anything in India so far. And when you see it is the job of the parliament to bring in some laws, then we'll interpret it. Then there is our job to interpret it our way, like how it is impacting us. But still, till the time we don't have anything, we can enjoy the freedom.
Also, I'm not sure what exactly, what outsourcing laws are we talking about here, because any kind of B2B model or any kind of, wherever work is outsourced, it is derived from it's done on a contractual basis. And the terms of the contract sets the guiding lines as to how the business engagement will be conducted. So it is mostly governed with the contract. Now the question comes, if someone excludes their liability, let's say I have excluded liability for defective AI. Even if my company's AI is defective, I will not be held liable for it. If there's such a clause, with how practical that is, how reasonable that is again a decision for the legal authorities to determine. But as of now, there is no law per se, but these are determined on the basis of contracts that's entered into between the entities.
Thank you for that answer, ma'am. If I can just pitch in here.
Yes.
So I think we've seen parallels of this, at least as far as I'm aware. Recently, the RBI came up with a draft master directions on guidelines for outsourcing of financial services. Right. So basically, in those draft master directions, the RBI has recommended a list of compliance checklists and risk management practices that ultimately, so in a financial outsourcing arrangement, to give more context to the viewers, essentially, for example, if a company like, say, LazyPay or Simple that we're aware of, these have now tied up with banks, and essentially any product that LazyPay offers will have complete control, especially the credit policies or any key managerial person decisions over that. The regulated entity, the RE is what we call it, that RE will have the complete say in that particular outsourcing arrangement. And while I understand, ma'am, that yes, it is a contractual um, thing, but there are also other cybersecurity risks and maybe data privacy risks that this master directions has in fact come up with. And I think this is one step towards that
Right.
regulatory, to ending that regulatory arbitrage.
Yes, that is very rightly pointed out, Nikhil. So the directions that are provided are mostly sector specific, right? So what
Yes.
happens is when these directions are released, it can only cater to one particular direction, like sector. It does not cater to the entire range of companies that are deploying AI.
Exactly, ma'am. Because the nature of this technology is such that there cannot be a one size fits all solution. It needs to be an industry specific approach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why when it comes down to the intricacies of it, overall you have to comply with all the guidelines, regulations, directives that's being provided. It's like complying with the law, and those are suggestions for the particular sectors. But when we come down to the intricacies of it, especially the liability, it is determined through the terms and conditions that are specified in the agreement while the engagement was being formed.
Yes, ma'am. I think it answers Nikhil's question. If it's okay with everyone, I think so. Before we move on to other aspects of AI, it is very important to address, in the context of misinformation and data privacy, to address the challenges posed by deep fakes. Because currently there has been drastic news in the Indian context about deep fakes and how they're impacting regular people and as well as businesses. So if you could provide insights into that.
Absolutely. So, before we start all with the what are the threats that it's being faced, let's understand what deepfake is. So, deepfake is basically hyper realistic digital fabrication where people are seen to be saying things or doing things that they actually haven't done in reality. Now, the technology behind this had some legitimate applications. It has certain pros, but it also has a significant chance of, significant risk that it uh, poses. Some of the benefits of this is the marketing campaign. It can be highly used in the marketing campaign to hyper personalize the interaction the brand is having with the users. That is one aspect of it if we look at it from the positive aspect, but it also gives rise to a lot of challenges, the main one being the violation of data privacy. Because as a user, this my information, my voice, my likeness being circulated or used is a clear breach of the Data Protection Act, is a clear breach of all the rights that has been rendered upon me by the legislation. So that is the biggest threat. Secondly is the intellectual property, because let's say someone is using my voice to create something that would give rise to copyright issues. These are some of the legal issues which are there. Other than that, it also gives rise to a lot of misinformation. And misinformation can be utilized in so many different ways that can turn out to be lethal. For example, let's say for the purpose of election, misinformation is being circulated. A lot of us who does not verify the source of information would fall prey to it. So we are already living in the age of information overload. With that, if we have to tackle with misinformation, really amplifies the problem and the challenges. So these are some of the gaps that needs to be taken care of while but I also feel that since the social media platforms are the ones where this deepfake videos are being circulated, they also should have some kind of responsibility and accountability for circulating such content. They should be liable to take down or monitor the kind of content that's being shared. So these are some of the way outs with which we can control it, but we also have to educate the masses and come to a place where we create an awareness as to these are the things which can happen with the use of AI, and it can potentially lead to a lot of misuse. I think Abhishek can give you a better perspective about
Yes.
on this topic.
Yes, I also have a take on deepfakes. So basically, I have a couple of things on to say on this topic. So what we have is, see, I do not consider deepfake as a word or as something which is a threat to us or which is very derogatory or dark. I don't find it dark. It is a technology. It is there to be in the market. It is there for you to have fun, to explore with. Snapchat is using certain filters which people are which they use, and they just enjoy. They post onto differently. So deepfakes, for example, you must have all heard to that song which is Checks by Narendra Modi. Now, that's not actually sung by Narendra Modi, but that is the sound effects, and that AI has been used over there. Wherein in that particular lyrics, the sound of Mr. Modi has been used. So that is one. But again, for creative purposes, if we see it otherwise, see it's always a perspective that we have to understand regarding deepfakes. All right. So the people who still love Moosewala, Sidhu Moosewala, who was brutally murdered in broad daylight. So the die-hard fans who still wish to continue to listen to his songs, so AI can help there. With this technology, people still can insert their own lyrics, and the result will come out in the voice of Sidhu Moosewala. Other than that, we also have certain negative perspectives also. So it is prone to misuse. Why is it talked about otherwise? Is that because there are more chances that it is prone to be misused rather than be helpful for us. So what happens is, for example, you have this in adult industry. So it is, there are chances there is a body of somebody else, but then you can put a face of somebody else and easily defame it, and then you cannot track who did it. That is a threat. All right. And recently there was a Aadhaar card breach using AI, and it is also one of a significant threat. Wherein in Karnataka, from the portal of Stamp and Registry Department of Karnataka state government, there were papers which were stolen. I mean, digital, all in digital format, and their Aadhaar card and all the details were taken out of there. Now their digital fingerprints were taken on, were recreated, and again posted onto NBFCs to take loans, and money was deducted. All of it was done through AIs. So talking about coming back to deepfakes, it is a very subjective thing, and we have to determine our own usage out of the deepfakes. Am I audible or am I?
Yes, sir, you are. You are.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Secondly, deepfakes has a very positive use as well. Now, it is not to be thoroughly criticized. So the very good use of it is that we have a software today in the market, which, see, I'll tell it, NVIDIA gaze adjustment software. So what it does is, no matter wherever you are looking, through this deepfake technology, it will make sure that your eyes are faced towards camera with using just this software. Even if you are reading some paper or you are talking, looking into that direction, but that technology with its professional usage will make sure that your eyes look like you're watching towards the camera. That is also good or better use of deepfakes. So when we are talking about AI, no matter how many times I repeat, it comes with its own advantages and disadvantages. We have to choose for ourselves what we are going to make out of it. All right. And coming about this uh, disadvantages and dangers, or what you were calling AI anxiety, there are certain aspects out of it. I'll continue if I can, if I have time. All right. So what how it is dangerous to us is that we are skeptical. We are scared that it will eat up our jobs. There will be job displacement. There will be bias because, as I told, GPTs are pre-trained softwares. They have been given certain commands. They have been trained in certain set of situations wherein they have learned how to respond to a question. All right. Now they perform on pre-fed data. They collect information already present in the open market on the open data sources from the Google, from the browsers everywhere. They take up the content from there, they analyze it, they process it, and they give us a desired result. All right. So, but the hack is it comes with its own biases. You cannot be sure if AI is neutral to certain topics, or there are also very controversial, opinion oriented topics, such as what do you think about Donald Trump? Or how is Narendra Modi good for India? So, these are certain technical things which AI abstains from answering because it can again cause controversy. And if it is not favorable to the ruling party, the owner of that software company, I mean, those parties will be held liable again. All right. So there are privacy concerns.
Right.
All right.
So
And
moving on,
yes.
moving on with the recent, episode of Sam Altman about his firing and rehiring as the CEO
Mhm.
of OpenAI. How is it
Right.
going to shift? I think they gave out a hint about shifting the AI, the paradigm from being idealism to pragmatism. So, what is your take on
Yes.
this idea?
Perfectly. That's very highlighted episode, and it happened very recently. What happened was Sam Altman, who was the originating founders of OpenAI, who created ChatGPT again. Now, this guy has put his heart and soul into this software and has created this technology and has worked onto it day and night. All right. What happened was the board of members still wanted to keep the legacy of ChatGPT intact, and and wanted to keep it non-profit, and they want to make it accessible to all, uh, make it a very useful resource to humanity. All right. Now, what Sam Altman thought, no, it's all right. He's good to have opinions because it's his, after all, he's a founding member of it. So he wanted that, even though these theories are still unconfirmed and there are all just floating rumors on the internet and everywhere about this. However, what is most prominent, the most prominent theory says about it is that he had some business ambitions, and he wanted to scale these operations, and he wanted to make it more consumer centric. He wanted to have more capital coming in so that he can power his AI tools and even expand the sphere of the technology, AI technology, which he worked upon. Now, this particular matter was not accepted to the other board of members, which who wanted to carry on with the same ideologies and mindset, to carry on with the same set of functioning and all. So now they fired Sam Altman. All right, you are not agreeing to our, we are in majority, and we do not take orders from you. And you may have your own opinion and you may leave. Then this opportunity was immediately grabbed by the legend, this Nadella, and Microsoft took over into Sam. They had him on board, but then he was so attached, or he was so. I mean, this was a very limited team which created ChatGPT, and Sam Altman was heart to heart connected with his people. They revolted once he was out of the team. They all revolted, and but because of the international pressure, Sam Altman, or maybe otherwise also, it's all their internal decision making. He was within 5 days he was accepted back into the board. And now this led shock waves to the AI industry. Like what all is happening, and if this is happening to the founders of such technologies, what will happen to the public at large and the consumers, the daily consumers of it? All right. Other than that, see, Elon Musk was not wrong. When he said AI is a threat, because see, there are privacy concerns which are undeniable. I accept it. See, it comes with its own cons, and I accept it because we do not have any regulation so far. We do not know practically how dangerous AI can be, other than those who are using it for those matters already. All right. So we have economic inequality. Because we may have economic, because those who have access to AI will rise, will make good use of it. Those who do not know the technology, do not those. That's why it is important for all of us. All right. Then we have the loss of control, because machines are doing it now. Now, humans feel threatened. Like, where is our autonomy? Where our decision making? Where is our? We are losing control onto the market proceedings because the AI is taking over. That's where it causes anxiety. All right. Other than that, we have existential risks. Now, it seems that down the line, 100 years, we'll all see robots all around, marked up with this AI technology, and which may again lead to existential threats. But yeah, the good thing is that we can also use it to our benefits, to our advantages, because you know what, when these same robots will go onto the war fronts, that will be a national asset. We could save thousands of lives because of these technologies and robots who will take their instant decisions, will go on with the pre-feeded commands and analyze the situation in real time. And we are sitting in our office controlling all those robots. So imagine that robotic army of a country. That is the future of AI. All right. But it again comes with the security risk, data breaches, disinformation, misinformation, cyber attacks, and again, stolen, because what thieves did were that they extended the antenna range of the key of the car, and they took it near to the control center, the remote of the remote which was with the owner. So with the help of a simple antenna, they extended the range of key signals, and it when it unlocked, they took it and went away. So it's always up to the final user what he decides to make use of that technology. All right. Then there are always ethical dilemmas, like related to warfare, healthcare, like how authentic such advices are, which are coming from the AI. All right. And how, say, in fact, I sometimes wonder that if judges can also be some days replaced by the AI bots, because once we have feed it with them the information and they are analyzing it in real time, then they can also make the similar decisions. Or if not that, that is a very extreme, or that's just a wonder. But what practically can be done is that these bots can definitely help as assistants to the jury to analyze the records, to go through the lengthy files, and give a quick output, processed output.
Right. So you talked about a few tools regarding how tools can help us become more efficient in the
Yes,
different fields, right?
yes,
Healthcare or the education sector. So can
yes,
you please help the law students what tools we can use in
yes,
particular to increase the productivity and the efficiency of the law students in particular?
certainly. So there are tools, and these tools have been made more accessible now. The companies are giving free trials on them, so that first of all, the efficiency of the product comes into notice, like how useful that particular product is. That is one. And other than that, it works as a marketing tactic to give a free trial. All right. So there are certain tools which law students in particular benefit from. Definitely Grammarly and all those tools you must have known about, like which help you correct your grammar and when you're drafting the sentences and letters. Other than that, we have uh, I'll also share a list with you all if you are not able to interpret the correct wordings or pronunciations. First of all, we have calidusai.com. All right, so it is a AI powered legal research tool. We have Lawbot Pro, which is developed by Rare Labs. All right. So what this does is, in the Indian legal context, it will give you answers like ChatGPT in the legal context as per Indian laws. So that is Lawbot Pro. All right. Then we have Ross Intelligence. This is a company which has a goal to make the smartest AI lawyer in the world. Matlab, unbelievable. To create world's smartest lawyer using the help of AI, we have to feed them with the desired resources to the specific knowledge, and they could give us the desired results in an instant. So there are PDF readers. You feed the specific file into the system. They will go through it in minutes, not even minutes, even less than that. They will scan through it. Then they will give you a desired result. You can conversate with that PDF file wherever the specific thing is mentioned, or if you have certain doubts, you can ask AI will respond to your doubts in real time. That is wonderful. That's magic, I call it. So Ross Intelligence, this is a company which is working after creating the world's smartest lawyer. Then we have casetext.com, first AI legal assistant. For see, the advocates and the practicing lawyers can make infinite use of these the technologies like this. So they'll give you, you don't have to go on to the customized researches and all that. You just have to put in the context. I want case laws respective to this particular case, and this is the storyline and all that. You have to feed in the your inputs, and the technology will find out the related case laws for you. So that will make your life significantly easier. That's how AI is helping law students. All right. Then we have Hyperwrite. Hyperwrite is magic. When I'll tell you about Hyperwrite, you feel like we are all together in a different world. What Hyperwrite does is, even though they are giving some 5 to 10 commands or as a sample as a free trial, it's a paid service. But what it does, imagine what it is doing. So just imagine you are sitting in the front of a laptop, you have a Hyperwrite application in there, and you give a command, one line command, that tweet about my mood, that I'm very feeling happy, tweet something good about it, or make an Instagram post. Or so it will automatically open Instagram, go to the desired section, type that for you, create a post, create a static post, or in fact reel, and then upload it, and you're all sitting like this. Do not have to click, you do not have to give any zero directions, automate, 100% automated, 100%. You tell it, or you just give an oral command to it. Okay, Hyperwrite, uh, send this tweet, and just send three letter command, and it will open Twitter automatically. You do not have to move your hands. It will open to it. I mean, X now. It will open that. It will go to that section wherein you have to click that tweet button, and then you have to paste all that content. You have to type. It will generate the content, and it is all so precise. You just try it today. Like hyperwrite is future. It is made our life so easy, and it can write in Gmails also. I mean, emails through. It can open the Gmail, and it will automatically. You just have to give a command. This email, this subject, and this person. Rest is done. All right. So then we have that. Other than that, we have LexisNexis is using AI legal research tools. You can go to that platform, use that service. Then there are Kira Systems and eBrevia. What they do is they are specialized in contract reviews softwares. So these are basically AI powered contract review softwares where and you don't have to go into the hooks and crooks. You just have to give it a bird eye view, and rest AI will do for you. It will give you the answers, whatever you want from it. Everything will be done in a command at one command, just one command. All right. Then we have donotpay.com. This is originating from US, and it is a service which intends to make all legal services automated, giving legal services without involving a lawyer. Unimaginable. I mean, these are all like finance related or very basic things. They do not fight cases on our behalf, but what they do is tremendous, and it has a bunch of services which can be utilized free of cost without a lawyer, and all those are mostly the legal services. That is good. I'll share these website links with you. Then we have lawgeeks.com. What this tool does for you is that it is an AI tool for contract review automation. So these are some tools, very basic tools, and I mean, very helpful as well. So once you are accustomed to use it, your life ahead in litigation will be like a cakewalk, very easy. So AI is a blessing to us lawyers. What it is doing for us, that is more or less about it.
Right, sir. Thank you so much about that. And I think we have one more question for Swagata ma'am. I think Anjali would be taking that.
Yes, ma'am. As we had mentioned before, so how are ethical considerations, how will they be integrated into legal frameworks to address any biases and ensure fairness in AI algorithms? Because at the end of the day, AI, because it is continuously learning, it tentatively could form biases. And so how do we effectively ensure fairness, and how are they going to be enforced?
Right. So, I we have already discussed some of the points previously, but I will also go ahead and give some of the pointers which are important. And these are not just pointers that's coming from me. These are some things that are internationally agreed upon through different guidelines and directives. For example, the EU ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI and the OECD's principles. So these are something that everyone has collectively agreed upon. That these are something they are replicating human behaviors. Therefore, the values and the ideas that they are working on has to be very human centric. They should be, cater to all the needs of, as Nikhil mentioned, that there are like sector specific need. So those needs has to be taken into account. At the same time, it cannot project any kind of biasness or any kind of discrimination against a particular sector of the society. Keeping all this to account, how this can be achieved? This can be achieved through first highly by feeding data that's high, we said high data value set. So this is something where the data quality is so high, the data quality is checked and monitored before it's fed into the system, because it's on the basis of this data that the AIs will be making the decision, AI will be trained. So the quality of data that is being fed into the system plays the most important role in determining how they should behave as, or what is the process behind it. Next is the conformity assessment. So there has to be a constant monitoring and assessment that goes on to make sure that there is no scope of misinformation or some information that is not ideally correct or is a wrong information to seep in the database. That has to be kept in constant check and it has to be regularly monitored. These are two of the main things that has to be done. Thirdly, it has to be monitored by humans, because you cannot, like, the idea is not to just create, a thinking machine. The idea is to create something which is responsible, which is accountable. And for it, we cannot just leave AI on its own, just feed the data and forget about it. It has to be constantly monitored and looked upon, and should have human intervention. So these are some of the aspects with which we can, keep the, like, we can coexist the AI and the rights of human beings, and the ethical consideration can be taken care of.
Yes, ma'am. So, like, because all of us are law students and all of us are uh, hoping for, a good career in terms of the field of law. So, because you are in the field, what are the exact career prospects that we students can look forward to in the field of AI and law? Because it's an
Right.
upcoming field.
This is, I think, my favorite
Wo-
question of all. So, what I would encourage all the students is to not just see yourself as future lawyers, but to see yourself as pioneers who are working at the intersection of legal and technology. Because the time is such right now that lawyers cannot work independently without technology, and technology cannot function without abiding with the legal guidelines, with the legal regulations. So, we have to work with each other, and you have to come up with, improve your skill sets. Now, coming to the legal industry and how you can have a career out of it, from my experience, what I have realized is that there is a gradual shift in the delivery of services. I did, like, traditionally the service was delivered only through legal practice, the law practice, and it was mostly inward centered. The lawyers would decide what would be the way of conduct, what would be how would things go, whether or not it would be billable hours or not. But now the approach is changing, like, because there are so in it, so there are different aspects that come into the scenario. So the business model of the legal industry is slowly changing, where the focus is approach, like, changing from lawyers to the customers, and their needs and specifications are more taken into account. So ideally, what you have to do is improve your skill sets in a way where you can try and figure out what is the best way that I can put my legal service and serve it to the my customers or my clients. So your idea has to be so inclusive of all the technology, so well versed with all the technological aspect, that you can give the best out of both the worlds to your client. You can also give them legal perspective, but you should also have an idea as to how the technology works, so that it's easier for your clients. Like on this line, I'm also working on a, like, business consultancy which is mostly targeted towards the IT companies and the startups. So instead of, like, having one place for strategy consulting, one place for legal consulting, what if there's this one place that, because legal and business questions are intricately related when it comes to company affairs, so you could be that one person who gives them insights about both the things and take on a role that caters to both of it. That helps the company and the startup as well, and it also includes, like, broadens your knowledge database. So I think that would be it from my end, but I'm sure Abhishek has something to, like, some guidance and some insights for the students, and what they can make and go ahead in the career with respect to this line.
Yes, sir.
Definitely, definitely. I'll talk about what I am doing, and I also come from a legal background. I have done my graduation in BLLB only. But how I switched I mean the domain, like I started working with an American immigration law firm, and it was a sister firm to an American IT company. So what I learned, how we can induce AI and tech into the legal domain will make you straight away a millionaire in India, because there is I mean we do not have that level of digitalization yet in the Indian market. So you come up with one idea which is bringing infusing tech and law, you are there. All right. So as far as AI is giving us advantages, more advantages than disadvantages, we are on the safer side of it. And there's, even though you can have that debate any day, whether it is helpful to us or disadvantageous to us, but it is making our lives easier. That is an undisputable fact. All right. Secondly, this is a future and it is indispensable. You have to go along with it or you'll be left alone behind. All right. And see, humans have created it. And what I feel is that humans will always remain on the top, no matter how intelligent that AI becomes. We'll still be those commanders. We'll still here to rule. All right. As far as my advice to you students would be, see, as some of you would be in your second or third year or like and alike. So start making the practical use of it from now on only. Start understanding that technology, because if you're not coming from if you're coming from commerce background and you're not from engineering or tech background, it will be very intimidating to you guys. Oh, what is tech and what all goes into it? Just once you start understanding it step by, you yourself do not have to do any codings or any, so you don't have to create your all by yourself. There are people who are specialized on to doing those specific tasks and carry out your commands. But you have to be the rulers, you have to drive through. All right, you have to take the lead, and you have to come up with new ideas, entrepreneurial, with that spirit. All right, so once you are there, you are good to go, and you have to figure out for yourself how, along with the AI and along with the tech, you can benefit the this legal sphere. Because you only grow when you think about others and how your thing is going to benefit others. If you're not doing it, you are just any other businessman. All right, so use those ideas and implement it. Always keep it in mind and you will nail it.
Yes, sir. I think we at LexTech also follow along the same lines as ma'am and you said that as a lawyer, we also have to understand what law and technology is so that we can work smarter. And thank you so much for thank you so much for providing us insights into the career prospects. I think if there is nothing else to add, we could move on with the audience questions because there are a few that we've missed out so far. If it's okay, we can proceed.
Sure,
Sure,
sure.
sure.
Okay, so starting with a question, Harsh Mittal has asked, do you think for time being AI should be restricted to some sectors or until a concrete regulation is formed? Because some sectors' data is so susceptible that it may be harmful for the economy. Let's say, for example, the financial sector. If AI is used in this sector without any law, it might lead to scandal like Cambridge Analytica or something bigger than this.
Can I say something on it? I
Yes, yes,
think
Abhishek.
technology should be let to strive, and without appropriate trials in the market, without knowing how actually it is making an on-ground impact, it is of no use. So that's why sometimes we see the ease of doing business report, that index in the report in India. India does not rank on the topmost countries because we have restrictive trade policies in some extents. As far as it is not making any immediate threat or danger, it should be led to be explored. And secondly, as far as the financial sectors are concerned, I think the respective government authorities like such as RBI will take care of it, and they will from time to time analyze the current market situations and the technologies which are present in the market, and they will design suitable rules pertaining to them. But otherwise, for other markets, without test trials and without bringing and testing new technologies, it is difficult. So it should let be how it is right now.
I'll just add on to what Abhishek said. So until like last year, we did not have a data protection in place, data protection law in place. But that did not restrict any of us or any of the companies for that matter to stop the working of a sector. We were just protection, but it wasn't being like prohibited from doing anything. Similarly, we are at a stage where we are struggling to come up with a struggling, not exactly, but working towards a framework or a guide set of conduct with which it can be guided. But in the absence of it, I do not think a prohibition on search or a blanket exemption of a particular sector would be the ideal way to go about it.
Yes, ma'am. I think hopefully this clarifies Harsh's question. If I could move on to the next question.
Sure, yes.
So, Divyam asks, I wish to ask this question in the context of copyright laws and free speech rights. If AI autonomously creates new content which is published online, would both the user of the AI and the AI be considered publishers of the information, or is there a differentiating factor?
This question
So,
becomes particularly relevant, ma'am, because I think law school students in their projects
yes,
are
yes.
being caught for a lot of AI activity nowadays. So, and I mean, a lot of us even publish papers in reputed journals. It's not like that, but we, I mean, oftentimes many people use AI to structure their thoughts better. So, yeah.
Right. So if you're asking me this to plagiarize your projects, then I don't think I should be answering this at all. But because I know how the plagiarism thing works in NLUO. But other than that, giving you an idea as to what the law is or what the copyright issues might be. So this issue recently was discussed in one of the cases, Taylor versus US copyright offices, where they were generating images. The AI was generating images, and the person concerned wanted to copyright the images in the name of the AI. So what was ruled in the judgment is that you cannot copyright something that has been completely developed by human. There has to be some element of human intervention, some element of creativity, some innovation that's been, even if you even if the AI is creating the image, even if AI is structuring your draft or structuring your argument, the initial feed, like the input has to come from you. There has to be some form of human intervention in the entire process. Otherwise, copyright will not be granted explicitly to an AI or a company like that. So now it also begs the question that what extent will there be a human intervention? What will qualify it to be copyrighted or not? So that is something that is, we are yet to find out in the upcoming days, as and when more case laws come up. But this is one of the cases that I was reading a few days back, where they have denied from giving copyright to an AI or anything created by an AI where there is no human intervention. There has to be some human intervention for the product or the result to be copyrighted.
Yes, ma'am.
Anjali, if I can just pitch in.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Ma'am, I think the way we have to look at AI in terms of any sort of a legal supplement, if I would use that word, is I think something along the similar lines of, say, an SEC online or a Manupatra, which helps in legal research. It can't make your
Absolutely.
arguments. It is a tool that will help you do better research and make better arguments.
Absolutely, absolutely. You just paraphrased it, like you just said it and like put it in better wordings, and that is absolutely true and very, like, I'm glad you suggested that. Yes, it is supposed to ease your work. It is supposed to help you do it, but you cannot completely outsource it to the AI and be, I will not even look into this and let it to run its own course. The creative part will come from your mind. You can suggest it, you can guide it, and then it can be a final product or something that is being produced.
Ma'am, just a follow-up question in terms of the judgment that you said about in case of an absence of human intervention, the AI cannot be called to have copyrighted content. However, say there are numerous jurisdictions, including India, that consider computer-generated content to fall under the scope of copyrights. What if AIs are used as a plugin, in the sense that it's your data over a few years or over a couple of months, but they're producing it, so technically there is no human intervention, because the AI is producing it, but it's producing it through your data. Where does that aspect stand in? That's basically
Right.
in terms of all auto-generative models as to how they function.
Absolutely. So that is a great question, and I think we are yet to see the answer to it, because if I tell you that, this will not come under copyright, that would be my personal opinion, because this is not something that has been yet come up and discussed and being like solidified in form of precedents. So when that happens, we will be in a better position to understand to what. This is why it will lead to the question that to what extent an human intervention is needed, or even when we are using plugins, it has some human elements. The person who has designed the plugins had some human elements in it, right? So until now we do not have an answer to this, but it will come up as and when we get access to more case laws, more precedents and judgments, right?
Understand, ma'am. Thank you.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I think we have a last couple of questions. And so Pratham asks, can you please explain the implications of AI on labor market and what should be the policy regarding the same?
Abhishek, do you want to take this up or should I?
I want to hear to the answer question once again.
Yes, sir. So the question reads, can you please explain the implications of AI on labor market and what should be the policy regarding the same?
So I think as far as the labor market is concerned, so the results are yet to be. I mean, again, they are yet to be seen. I do not see any direct implications or threat to the labor market or how AI directly interferes with the ongoing activities of the people over there. And yeah, that's it. Right now, I do not have any concrete to say about it.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, anything you'd like to add to this?
No, I mean, it is at such a nascent stage that, we might have our personal opinion on this, but there is nothing solidified or nothing concrete on it that can be, taken up or said about it. It will have to be collectively formed. The policies, even if there is any, has to be collectively formed. It has to be, everyone's perspective has to be taken. It like one of the biggest example is the data protection law. It was the fourth edition that got adopted. It has to be changed so many times. We have to accommodate so many perspectives. So it's just not my perspective or his perspective that matters. It's the collective who has to contribute in the formation of it. And definitely there has to be, like, it is unquestionable that whether or not there has to be a policy regarding it, there definitely has to be a policy, but taking into the interest of everyone, it has to be the prime goal of prime goal that one has to be catered to before forming the policy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I think.
And another thing, you know what, Anjali, in the labor market, the contract is always between the employer and the employee. All right. Now it is according to their mutual consent, like how far they want to use the AI, bring in the technology into their their course of business, and it is through the mutual consent they wish to proceed. So it is very personal, and then it becomes objective. That's about it.
Yes, sir. I think because like AI in general is also
Yes.
it's still developing. So laws on that have to
But
catch
the
up to.
overall policy should be framed in such a way because they are the ones who are facing the direct threat out of it. State's still a threat, and but the employers are still in the advantageous position because they are cutting on resources and they are gaining more profits because of AI. So government's role herein lies that they should bring in such policies that cater to the interests of the employees in that market.
Yes, sir. I think it should also come under exploitation of AI, like prohibition of the same, and
Yes.
developing onto that policies could be framed.
Supposedly,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Absolutely.
So another question, and I think if there are any more questions, we can take up. But for the time being, there's one more. So recently, UK conducted an AI safety summit regarding safety tests of AI before they get released. So can you please highlight what can we learn from this initiative?
So this is a great initiative, and I think not just UK, like all the countries should adopt it. Even the proposed EU AI Act has a provision that requires all the startups that will be using, so that it can be constantly monitored before it's released in the market. So it's a very crucial step that needs to be taken into account before, because anything and everything cannot just go into the market without knowing that what are the effects it might
And
have, because the
applications.
effects might be detrimental. So this is a great initiative, and I think all the nations should comply with, start enacting on the same lines.
Yeah, I think it is the fault on our side. We are not carrying enough researchers and the experts. We are not creating those expert panels because we have other priorities at hand to handle the masses and publics. So we are not putting in those resources or diverting those resources into that research. But if some other country is doing that, for example, UK is doing that, we should learn from it and we should also incorporate it. It's a step very welcomed.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think recently there was AI Safety Summit that was held in November, and I
Yes.
think it was to further on the same goals of adopting
Yes.
safety guidelines. Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks to
I
Utsav
think
to highlighting this. It was a great point, actually.
Yes, and adding to this question, I think Lavanya has asked that what steps should be taken to promote responsible AI development and deployment. So, as far as this question is concerned, I have to say that the imminent threat is the data protection and right to privacy, basically. So, whatever content is published online, AI should be trained in such a way so that they should not be stealing the personal information of the beneficiaries or of the clients or the customer of whatever data is available in the open source. It should be very restrictive in that sense, and it should not be openly flouting those privacy rules. For example, if somebody if you are searching about some person and you're asking some details out of a person, they shouldn't be delivering you the contact numbers or the photographs out of their private Instagram or social media handles right at an instant. It should be restrained there.
Absolutely. Adding to what Abhishek just mentioned, which is why there is a requirement for constant monitoring and assessment of what is the data that is being collected. Because we cannot just feed anything and everything into the system and train it, which again brings me back to the, high value data. Because it's important the kind of data that is being fed, and that needs to be taken into consideration while developing softwares. And secondly, one more thing that has to be taken into account is the responsibility factor, that how responsibly will the data being used, which is why there has to be a framework that helps the system, and the system guide as to, with respect to the right usage, which is value centric and targeted towards fairness and diversity.
Yes, and I think government should create some surveillance panel or a regulatory body which is analyzing these inefficiencies of the software developers if they are at fault. And if they are found to be guilty, they should be sent notices at the appropriate time that these are the issues your software is creating and these are need to be fixed immediately. If they are ignored, severe penalties have to be placed on those developers as well who are ignoring or flouting the regulations.
Right.
I think I think we're done with the questions. If the audience would like to ask any more questions, we can do the same, or we can conclude the session. Are there any questions? I think all of them have been answered.
That is great.
So
Thank
that's
you.
great.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment and thank the entire team, because I think you have done a commendable job communicating with me and Abhishek on a daily basis to make this happen. So I really appreciate you, and thank you once again for conducting this entire episode.
In fact, I
Thank
also
you.
want to thank you and congratulate the participants for continuing with us still here. And I appreciate the efforts of the team for coordinating and communicating with us at all times. And it was a pleasure to be on this platform to express our views. And I hope that you have taken something out of this talk show.
Definitely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. It was our pleasure to host you here, and thank you for taking out time for us from your busy schedule. That really means a lot to all of us because